All right, today we're going to import an IFC file from Revit, and we're going to relate it to the control that's on site as well as an as-built, so it'll all mesh and match up both horizontally and vertically. First, we need to do a new project. We're doing Jupyter, so I'm going to call it Jupyter IFC. Green check confirms the move. Green check again. Now we're going to import. We're going to add from a removable disk. And here I've created a Jupyter folder on my USB. I want to import all of this except for my control. I want to import my control separately because it will create triangles on the points and make it easy to see and separate, as well as pop out at you when you're looking at it. So this is the grid. Clean up. And we're going to use all heights, and this remains the same. If we wanted to take some things out, we could. For this, I'm not going to worry about it. Then we'll go to the IFC next. Now the IFC has some layers within it as well. Here you can see them. I can turn them on and off, or not have them imported. I'm sorry, not import them. But we want to use them all this time. Sometimes if I have a file that's difficult to import, I'll deselect all, pick one, and import it that way to see which one's taking up all the data. Next, this is the as-built that I did on site. These are all codes that I put in. We're going to clean it up, and we're going to use elevations because I did. Green check, and now we'll import those entities. All right, now that those are in, we're going to add one more, our control file. Green plus. Instead of picking reference data this time, we're picking control. And here is our control file. Just select it. Make sure that the order of our coordinates is correct. ID, northern, easting, elevation, and code. That is correct. If I wanted to change them, I'd do that by selecting these boxes here in the right order. We are separated by comma, and we're survey feet decimal. All of this remains the same. Sometimes people will reverse this northing and easting, and that's usually when they run into trouble. Green check confirms. One more time. 10 points. We're okay. Good. Now you can see what all we have in the file. We're going to go home and look at it. I have this point that's out here in the middle of nowhere. When I press and hold this minus button, it will zoom to extents, and I don't want to have to zoom in every time because of it. So go to your layers button. Let me think which one it's in. It's usually a 0 or no code. There we go. See now, it's not going to zoom all the way out. If we zoom into our project, we can see our control separated with the triangles, and that's easy to see, as well as I created a line between. If we want to go into 3D, we can go to this little whirly gig. This will put us back into two-dimensional. If we pull down and upward, we can see that we now have a 3D file. And it's pretty detailed. We have our grid associated with that as well at our bottom elevation, and that makes it easy to look at. If you have it too high, you'll be looking through it, but if you have it at the bottom elevation, you're looking at it, and it's pretty nice. Let's use this little triangle here, the northern. That'll take us back to two-dimensional. If I drag now, it'll actually go into 3D, so I have to lock it in with this X, and we'll zoom out. Now, I have lots of information here. I'd call it too much information. So if I go into my layers, just turn on what I want to see, and I just want to work with the IFC and the control. Green check. Zoom. Let's spin. Now I can still work in 2 dimensions. It's pretty easy to do. I go to this eye, and I go to limit box. This creates a box around my project. And if I grab that box, I can slice it. So if I was working at, let's say, 10 feet, the elevation of 10, my finished floor, I can plug it in. Now, the bottom elevation, if I don't want to see that extra data there, I can plug that in. Just going to say 8. I'm guessing it might not be right. It was a little too high, so let's go 5. Still not there. Let's see. Let's try this. Okay, that's where I want to see that deck right there. And there we go. Now I have just the deck. I can go 2-dimension with that, lock it in, zoom out, and I can pick whatever entity I want to lay out now. I'm in checks right now. Let's go into layout objects. Now, it's hard to see the footers or anything like that, columns, sorry. I can select it and pick whichever point I want to lay out. And now I'm laying out 2-dimensional, like normal. If I want to freeze layers, I can, and then I can go to isolate. And this is to see the one object, or like objects, or to freeze the one object, or freeze like objects, hide them. So I'm just going to turn. I want to see these and all of them. If I hit the green check, now I'll only see that entity. And I have a whole lot of data here, easy to look at, and it won't lag. If I select the item, zoom into it, that's the center of it. Now I can lay that out. I will say we are limited to how these entities are separated. So if I bring back everything, hitting this square, and change my limit box, do this. I zoom in and I pick certain entities, you'll see that they pick up the floor and everything with them. So let's say I wanted to lay out, I think it's this one that does it, the floor. Okay, let's see this floor. I can do that. Separate them, slice it, whatever I need to do. Let's freeze. There. So whatever that entity is, picks up these piles along with the floor. I'd rather have those separated. You can also see it's got all this. It's just one big solid entity. If it's separated, it's easier to use. But if I wanted to, now it's gone. And I can work with just what I see. And that pretty much goes through it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.